Hey, on to my second cup of coffee this morning. This is Alticio Decaf, made on a Nespresso Virtuo machine. I've heated up some no sugar plain oat milk by Chobani. So I had my first cup in here. Didn't rinse it or anything. It's fine. So I'm going to run this capsule through 2 or 3 times. So I wanted to talk about something this morning because have you ever noticed that sometimes something can bother you, and then if you hear somebody explain what's bothering you from maybe a different point of view than you have thought about it before, it can help you to get through a difficult situation. So I happened to see this inspirational quote yesterday that said, "Patience is power." I thought, wow, and I looked it up because I wanted to find the quote, maybe with a nice picture or something. Well, it turns out it's by Archbishop Fulton Sheen. Some of you who are older may remember seeing his shows on TV back in the 1950s and 60s. And he said something along the lines of, give it one more go around, patience is power because it gives you time to plan and to think out things with the right motivations. Now, I'm not getting this quote word for word, but what I wanted to say is sometimes we feel like if we, somebody says, be patient, we feel like, oh my gosh, I just have to wait. And it can be so frustrating. But if instead you think, oh, isn't that pretty? If you think of it in terms of, okay, now I have time here to plan out what I want to do, to figure out, what are my motivations. I think I'd like a little sweetener in this. When is the best time to act once it becomes possible to act? Rather than thinking of it as some sort of stale time where you are just frozen, you're just waiting. No, patience can be very powerful if you think about it from the right point of view. So next time you have to sit and be patient, or you just have to, go about your life and wait for something, and you may feel like, oh, I have no control over this. I want this to move along already. Those are negative thoughts, and they're very counterproductive, and they can make you very anxious. Instead, maybe think about, all right, is there some way I can plan so that once whatever starts to happen or my opportunity opens up, this is how I'll handle things. Or you know what? If it's just a situation where you literally are having to wait for something over which you have no say and no control, you just have to wait. Well, my gosh, that is time gained to think about other stuff and to plan other stuff or enjoy other stuff. Something that I've learned recently is, well, for one thing, when there is uncertainty, it can breed anxiety. Oh no, what's going to happen? When is this going to happen? You don't have to let uncertainty do that to you. One thing you can do is think about and focus on what you can control. And sometimes control means just noticing something. I literally have been in some situations recently. Let's see, what do I want to put in this? Oh, it's really good. But you know what? I'm gonna put just a tad of pumpkin praline pie in this, just a tad. There. Give it just a little touch of sweetness. So I've been in some situations where I was anxious over what was going on. And I needed to, like nothing was going to happen. I didn't want to feel anxious. So what I did, here, we turn this like this. Now, this may seem crazy, but it works, okay? I knew I needed to get my mind off of, oh gosh, when is this going to happen? Why is this happening? Who's going to be involved? Needed to stop that vicious circle of sort of worry, okay, of being overly concerned about something when my concern was not doing any good. It was just causing me problems. Do you know what I did? Okay, sounds crazy, but I started looking at my fingers, at the wrinkles, and how they're sort of in kind of generally a circular shape. And I just started noticing, which way they go. And at one point I actually sat there and I took a pencil and paper and I started drawing them. Do you know what? Honestly, after a few seconds, less than 20 or 30 seconds, my mind was totally off of the things that had been concerning me. But here's the important part. I needed a relief from the things that had been concerning me. Focusing on what my fingers looked like, those little, are these your knuckles or are these? Anyway, whatever these are, whatever part of your finger you call that. Focusing on that gave my mind a brief rest from, oh no. And it enabled me to get out of that circle. Have you ever seen a traffic circle where, you go into the circle and then usually there's exits and entrances, okay? Now, you have a choice, you could go round and round and round. They very often have traffic circles in European countries. Oh my goodness, when I visited my daughter in New Zealand, when she was living there, whenever we would come to a town that would have a traffic circle, and many of them did, so I did drive a little bit there, but mostly on the straightaways. I would get out of the car and make her drive because, oh my gosh, I wasn't sure how to get out of the traffic circle. I mean, for one thing, you're driving instead of like in America on the right side of the road, you're driving on the left, and the steering wheel is on the left, just like it is in the United States, but you're driving on the left. So anyway, yeah, it's all kind of very backwards feeling for an American driver. And then having to go around the traffic circle, that was just too much for me. Well, the thing is that if you're into this cycle of worrying, oh no, what's going to happen? Or, oh, I'm having to wait. And, and you can get into anxious thinking just by, what if this happens? Or what if that happens? Or when is something going to happen? Or, oh my gosh, it feels like this is taking forever. You can get into all these very counterproductive thoughts, not just unproductive, but counterproductive. In other words, it's not doing good for you. It's not producing something good. It's producing the opposite of what you want. So if you can get your attention off, if you can exit that traffic circle, sometimes that's enough to give you relief to move on to other thoughts. Our minds tend to work sometimes like being caught in a traffic circle. Like for me, driving in a European country, my tendency is, okay, I'm going to get in the lane that just goes round and round and round because I don't know how to get out of this. The way I got out of my worry and anxiety traffic circle the other day was to concentrate on my fingers And, you know, as much as we think that we can do two things at once, it's scientifically been proven that no, actually what happens is when you think you're doing two things at once, actually your brain is jumping back and forth from one thing to the other. It's not doing both simultaneously, doing this one, then doing that one, doing this one, doing that one. So that can put stress on you too. But anyway, so it was not possible for me to study my fingers and also keep worrying and being concerned and getting anxious over the thing that was bothering me. And relating this back to patience, so often what makes it difficult to be patient is we're focusing so strongly on that thing that we are trying to be patient about that we're getting stuck in the traffic circle. We can't think of anything else. And what we need to do is exit the traffic circle, and then that will free us kind of to take a deep breath and move on to something else and release the stress and tension of the worry and anxiety that's being created. So next time you're having trouble being patient, or you get into a thought pattern that is not productive and you can't seem to get out of it, well, heck, think about my example with fingers. Of course, you could do this with anything. I mean, you could look at a spot on the wall. Oh my goodness, I just tell you, this is sort of neither here nor there, but just funny. This morning I was taking a pill and I took a drink and I looked up to swallow and I saw this spot on the ceiling and I thought, what is that? Gosh, is that a bug? I was looking at it and I went and got the vacuum cleaner. Look, I still have it here. Okay. I went and got my vacuum cleaner and I used it to suck the bug off the ceiling. It was a bug. And then I started thinking, golly, maybe I should vacuum. Well, listen, it's easier to distract yourself than you realize. You just have to take that first step to do it. So, whether you're going to study your fingers or study the ceiling for spots or, just look out the window and start thinking, what do I see? Okay, I see bushes. There's shutters on the window. I see those are regular shingles on the roof. Just one little, and you can exit that traffic circle of impatience, worry, anxiety, being stuck on certain thoughts. Now, you may need to do it, every few minutes, every few seconds. It's okay. You can do it. The greatest control, the greatest power you have is your ability to make decisions with what you're going to think. So I hope that this has encouraged somebody today. I'm going to drink my coffee before it gets cold. Cheers.